Peace, family. Vie Darling, the Cosmic Queen, and your intergalactic interpreter, here for another cosmic tea. We're going to do the practical advice since we didn't do it yesterday. Well, hi. We're going to do the practical advice since we didn't do it yesterday. I started and then I stopped because I kept getting weird things happening. So the cards that we pulled from the Work Your Light Oracle deck for the overall energy, I'm getting a lot of yawns too. And we get no, wait, postpone, pause, say no. So now is really not the time to be taking any action. It's really not. I'm going to refer to my notes throughout this. And if you didn't get a chance to watch yesterday's live or the overall energy, it's very, very informative. So go ahead and give it a watch. But with all of the yawning that I'm getting, I get the sense that the collective is just going through this energetic reset. I did get that we're going to be super tired this week. I got that we are going to be just really big time in rest mode. And what I think about yawning a lot is that the yawn is the body's way of cooling down the brain and bringing oxygen to the brain, which brings oxygen to our nervous system. And that's probably because our brain needs sleep, or it needs rest. It needs to slow down and stop working so hard. Just like your computer needs to go into sleep mode, or needs to be turned off. I would say that we can put our bodies into sleep mode by just resting and not being active consciously, and that can be meditation. So maybe some meditation is going to be really helpful right now, or you can just actually go to sleep, which is turn the computer off and charge it. And that's, we are in a time this week where you really want to be turning the computer off and charging it as much as you possibly can. But when it's not off and charging throughout the day, put it in sleep mode. Put it in sleep mode. I have been experiencing just lots of experiences that are kind of taking me out of my body because they're triggering. One thing that I will share personally is last night, I've spoken about this before. I used to have this job that was very exploitative, and it was high profile company, and the exploitation was also high profile, and it was written about by a lot of media outlets, but nothing really happened until lockdown when they got called out, and then a couple years later they shut down. But I've spoken about I had this friend group of coworkers, and it was at first it was really beautiful, and I was really grateful and excited about it. But then what ended up happening is it became really toxic, and I started progressing, and I don't think that they were so interested in progressing. I don't think that they are now either. When the spiritual life is the only life for you, and it's the only life for anybody, because we're spirits enlivening bodies. But when you are consciously aware of that and you are actively choosing it, you want to progress, you want to change, you want to evolve and transform. When you are doing everything fighting tooth and nail to ignore that and not engage in that because you want to go your own way and operate from a space of self-will, and you want to serve your ego instead of serving your spirit, which ultimately would serve your ego on a much deeper level than giving it what it wants, because it doesn't actually know what it wants. Or rather, it knows what it wants, it doesn't really know what it needs, nor does it care about what it needs. yeah, we tend to like fall out of alignment with those people because we serve as mirrors to the parts of themselves that they're not willing to let go of in order to actually evolve and level up. And I understand, because a lot of the time those parts of us that's our shadow, and a lot of the time it's because of trauma. Like, I've sat with a lot of clients, and you know, their inner children come to me. And we also have today Star Mother. Hi. We also have Star Mother. How can you mother yourself? And I very much am a deity channeling Divine Mother energy. I don't really like to say it on Instagram, but yeah, very much embodying Divine Mother energy, which you'll know I have like so many Virgin de Guadalupe's all over my house. But their inner children come to me, and I also am often attracted to the shadow, or like my energy, my attention, my focus goes to the shadow, because that's the thing that needs the healing the most. And I said that in yesterday's live. I said, where is it? I actually really loved this, what I said. Essentially what I said is like, everybody else can wait. Everybody else can wait. Nobody needs you more than the most wounded part of you. And that's the part that we tend to want to run from. Oh yes, lean into failure, lean into fear, show up for yourself. That's where you are most needed. That's the part that we want to abandon the most, but it's the part that needs us the most. And we want to abandon it because in previous times, we were taught that we had to in order to survive. But now that's not true, because now we are adults. You know, if you are under the age of 18 years old, and I would even say that 18 to 21 is a gray area for me, but definitely if you're under the age of 18 years old, like, this self-sovereignty stuff is helpful, but like, children do not have sovereignty over their lives, period. So if something happened in your childhood, like, that's not, you can't blame yourself for that. However, we are accountable to whether or not we show up for the healing, and whether or not, you know, we lean into the healing. And so that's what we're talking about here. But yeah, essentially, there's a big falling out, and there's a lot of drama, and oh, so yeah, with children, people's shadow, it's usually like really ensconced. The inner child and the shadow are usually like melded together. For most people, they're melded together, and the inner child is ensconced in shadow, and it looks like a big shadow monster. And we can be scared of that monster, but it's actually your inner child. And why do we think that is? Because we grew to hate ourselves, and we grew to be afraid of ourselves and our truth and our essence. I saw a post yesterday that said, when you are constantly judging a child, the child doesn't start to hate you, or the child doesn't stop loving you, they stop loving themselves. And so that is what happens. And it's not just the parents, it's not just the, you know, nuclear family or the family of origin. It's also the messaging that we get from the various different institutions around us. Like, I remember being in the YMCA, like, I used to go to aftercare there because my mom worked. And the counselor, the lady who was in charge, she, after the kids went to the swimming pool, she would braid all of the white girls' hair, but she would be like, no, I don't know how to do your hair, like, no. And I was like in 3rd grade. So obviously that experience really stuck with me very deeply. And because I got in trouble because, like, I had seen all the other girls taking their hair out and her fixing it, so I did that, and then she couldn't fix it, and I got in trouble with my mom. And that was a time when I knew that I was different, and that, like, people felt bad feelings around how I was different, relating to specifically my hair. And yeah, of course, then it also related to like being terrorized by my mother. So, you know, there's a lot of shadow wrapped up, or there was, and there has been a lot of shadow wrapped up with me and my hair, to the point where, like, other than the fact that I'm like highly sensitive and like very sensitive in the crown chakra, especially when we're like going through activations, like my hair growing would literally cause me pain when I first got sober. Like, it would literally hurt. And also there's trauma stored in the hair. So a lot of my journey has been like me going between, like, I'm going to do my hair natural because I want to reject like the false matrix projections onto me. And then the reason why I don't wear my hair out in an afro, like, yeah, I cut it all off before because I went through a process where I needed to have no hair because I was too sensitive. But, you know, I realized I don't like doing my natural hair because it makes my skin break out, and I also just don't like doing hair. I want someone else to do it. You know, I love nails, and I'm really good at doing nails, but I want someone else to do it. Those are things that I don't want to do for myself. But you know what I will do for myself? I will spend all day in the kitchen chefing it up and making amazing food and pastries, vegan pastries. Like, those are the things. And I think that it's really important. One of my sisters likes to do hair and makeup and stuff, and she says, like, when you want to do hair, your hands just don't stop moving. They just want to do it all the time. And I'm not that person. But I had to go through the experience of doing something that I was taught. And there are so many other instances, like, throughout my life, especially because in America, girls, when I was a kid, were perming their hair, and my family is African, and my mom was like, we're not doing that. And I cried and I begged until finally she allowed me to do that, and like, it really destroyed my hair. All that to say, you know, I now am sovereign because I did the thing that scared me really, really deeply. It scared me, it challenged my notions of self, desirability, all of these things. And I found out that actually no one gives a shit, and everyone like loves my natural hair. You know what I mean? And the people that don't, I am not interested in interacting with them anyway. Like, anyone who does not love me, why would I be interested in them? You know, but it took a long time of like forcing myself beyond the boundary of my fear to be able to get to this understanding, because I was so afraid of, I would not talk in middle school and high school. I didn't talk to anybody, especially in high school. I literally did not talk to anyone. I wouldn't talk in class. Like, to know me now versus knowing me in like 10th grade, 11th grade, no, I would not talk to anybody. And people are super surprised, but that's because like I forced myself past my comfort zone, and that was the best thing for me. And so, you know, now I know I just don't like doing my own hair. I would rather someone else do it. And I also know that I can't wear it out. I can wear it in braids and stuff because it makes my skin break out, and I don't like that. So that's a conscious decision, and it's not because I've been indoctrinated into self-loathing, right? But a lot of people would not be willing to do that and to go past those boundaries. And so that brings me back to the story that I was telling about being triggered. So these people, you know, we just did not, at first we got along, and then like there was one girl in particular who had a big problem with me, even though I didn't do anything to her ever. And everybody who was involved, even she knew that I wasn't doing anything to her, and she was just jealous. And her friend, who was also jealous but was not crazy and like seemed to be at some level grounded enough to not act like inappropriate and immature, especially because we were at work. This wasn't just oh, we're hanging out. No, like, we were at work. And so she proceeded to antagonize me all the time, but then also like try to be my friend, and it just caused a lot of friction. There was some like romantic debacle between me and somebody else that she involved herself in, and really flared the conflagration, which is to say, like, she fueled the fire, she fueled the flames of destruction, and it ended up with like me not speaking to those 3 people. But then I was honestly on bad terms with most of them, because like those people who I considered to be my friends outside of just co-workers did not defend me, even though they knew that I was being bullied and antagonized. They knew it, they saw it, claimed to be my friend, claimed to love me, but never once stood up for me to this girl. You know what I mean? And regardless of how I tried to like distance myself or like, you know, put up boundaries, not talk to her, whatever, we had to work together at the front desk. Like, you know, I had to be in proximity to her. So there was only so much that I could do. I'm not super proud of the way that I handled things emotionally, because things really started like kicking off when I quit drinking, and I really got to a place where like I was not taking anyone's shit. And I wouldn't say that I handled things the like most mature way, but the beef was with her and another girl. However, it turned into being a beef with most of them, where it was just like I didn't know who I could trust and I didn't know who I couldn't trust. But one of the people that I definitely thought that I could trust, and I really thought that like we were cool or whatever, I noticed that like she was just like, I congratulated her on a big thing that she had done in her career on her Instagram page. She didn't even like the post. And I know that some people would be like, oh, well, that's not that big of a deal, V. It's like, but something told me that it was actually. Because then later I saw, she didn't even like the comment. Later I saw that she had liked all the other comments or whatever, and that she was responding to all of the other girls that we had known mutually, but not me. So I went into my followers and I saw that she was like no longer following me. And I was like, I have no idea when this happened. And last thing I knew, we were cool. Like, I think our last conversation even was like, yeah, no, I'd love to, like, I'm back in New York. I got back from Los Angeles. And I was like, I'm back in New York. I'd love to hang out sometime. And she's like, yeah, let's make it happen. But she lived far away and shit got crazy for me. But so I don't know what happened. I have no idea exactly what happened. I know that a lot of them got mad because I wouldn't participate in the takedown of this company that we worked at. Because before that takedown, I was the sole person, the sole employee, like openly using my name and talking to reporters about the exploitation that was going on. I was the only person who advocated, like, the stuff that I did was actually like a very big deal, advocating for the workers and like the service workers of that company. And nobody ever once would like check in on me to be like, hey V, I know that this article just came out. I just wanted to see how you're doing. At least not any of these people who claim to be my friends, claim to care and love me. You know what I mean? The people who checked on me were the clients of this place where we worked. This is an all-women's co-working space. And so some of the clients would check in on me and see if I was okay. Some of my friends would, but never these people. You know what I mean? And I say this all to say, like, I saw this and I started like spiraling out. I like started dissociating. And I know that I'm dissociating. I know that I'm spiraling out when I'm sitting there and I'm just like, just sitting there, not moving, I'm so still that like, it's bizarre how still I am. And I'm just like ruminating. And then I start going down to what I call a misery complex, trauma helix. I go to the trauma and I spiral down the helix into misery. And misery complex is like the top level, and then the trauma helix is going down. That would be the DNA, I guess. I don't know. I channeled those phrases a few years ago. And so, yeah, you know, just spiraling into despair, off into oblivion, where nothing's really real and it's just a bunch of shadow latching onto me. And when I caught myself dissociating, I started trying to talk myself down, and I started to I realized this isn't working. And I started to focus in on my breathing so I could get back in my body. Because that's my domain. My domain is my body. If I'm dissociating, I can be possessed of any spirit. My dad refers to it as the spirit of jealousy, the spirit of envy, you know, the spirit of alcoholism, the spirit of lethargy, these kinds of things, you know. Not necessarily entities, but obviously y'all know that I believe in that. But so if I am dissociating, I can easily be taken out of my sovereignty, and I can be taken over by my shadow, and I can be taken over by my fears and my trauma. I'm gonna turn my little washing machine on. Give me a second. I bought a mini washing machine for my apartment, and I actually really love it. But anyway, yeah, so I can be taken over by all of those things, and that was one instance of me being taken out of my body, and immediately I started feeling better once I started focusing on my breathing, just feeling it coming in through my nostrils and filling my body. And those are little things that just take our power back and bring us back to ourselves, you know? And you got to do that as long as you got to do that. And so that's the meditation aspect. But there was another thing also where I started feeling outside of my body and just kind of dissociating. I think it probably had to do with a bill notification came up, or just being angry about the economic crisis that we're experiencing. And I'm lucky because I have a job, but people are getting laid off in droves. You know what I mean? And so what has been revealed to me, and what I believe this card is saying, especially in conjunction with this card, is that we are going to be presented with a lot of challenges emotionally. We're going to be experiencing a lot of triggers in the next few days, especially because right now the moon is sidereally in Cancer, and it's going to go into Leo. And you know, that's great. I love a Leo moon, but fire moon also can, you know, if you're not careful during Cancer moon, fire moon can actually manifest itself as rage, and it's prideful and egotistical, and that's not what we're interested in. We're interested in alchemizing any of the lower density things that come to surface so that we can resonate on the higher frequency expression of these signs. And when we're in the higher frequency expression of Cancer, we're not the narcissistic mother who has to get her claws into her child in order to feed off of her and control her, and use her as an avatar for the ways in which she didn't get what she needed, and she didn't do what she wanted to do. You know what I mean? We're nurturing, we're caring, but we're also disciplining, because neither is it helpful to have the mother who lets the child do it. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? No? Okay, we're gonna read. Oh, okay, great. I was so annoyed. Okay, great. I'm glad that we solved that. Try to plug my phone in and hope that it like doesn't fall down. But I've been working all day, so I didn't have time to, I just didn't charge it. But anyway, it's about our vessel being a temple for our God self, our divine self. You know, it can either be a tomb for your spirit or it can be a temple for your spirit, and you get to decide. Oh geez, okay, it's one of those days. So we're gonna put it in here because it stays better in there. Okay, I hope that y'all can hear me still. I'm gonna pull up the chart just so that I can have it to reference. But yeah, essentially take care of your body. Do, especially in terms of sleep and also in terms of exercise, like you're really going to want to focus in on those two things as much as you can right now. Today especially, today especially, I'm gonna just say what they're saying to me. You're gonna want to get some sun. I wanted to get more sun than I did today, but I did go outside this morning when I walked to the gym, so there's that. But like, there's a hill that I go to by my apartment, and I just like lie down on the hill and I put my crystals on my body and I like commune with the earth. And like, I've started like hugging the trees and touching the trees, and it really, really stabilizes. So I guess what is happening is like, there's a lot of unstable energy because we're being hit with all of these light code blasts, and we're going to be feeling destabilized. And the way that I perceived it, here's the fucking key, y'all. Here's the T. Oh, there's a delay. Is it working now? I hope that it's working. This is like, they don't want me to get this message out to y'all.